time. But I wanted to come out and make myself available to talk to you, answer your questions. I don't get too many opportunities for candidate nights, and Rick talked about civil being engaged with citizens, and that to me is part of my responsibilities as an elected official. I've been your prosecuting attorney since 1991 when I was appointed by both circuit judges. I then ran unopposed in 1992, 96, 2000, 2004, 2008, and again right now. I think my wife says it's because the salary is high enough that nobody would want my job for what they pay. I don't really think that's true, but I live up in Delta Township, and I don't find talking about myself all that interesting. I would like to tell you a little bit more about what I've done other than just how long I've been the prosecuting attorney. I was elected to the board of directors of the Prosecuting Attorneys Association in 1992, and I served as the president of the Prosecuting Attorneys Association in 2001. Most recently, this month, I was elected to represent Michigan's prosecutors on the board of the National District Attorneys Association. So I consider that an honor and a reflection of the respect from my colleagues that I'm the one of the 83 prosecutors from Michigan that represents our state. In terms of things I've done in the office, I like to think that I'm pretty innovative. In the early 90s, I saw the change coming with the potential of electronic research. Didn't have the option, it wasn't budget time, and I thought I really don't want to go to the Board of Commissioners and just ask for more money. So I sold our library of books, and it paid for a CD-ROM research system. That's kind of reflects my style. I will just go out and do it. Steve mentioned drug courts. In 1998, Judge Harvey Hoffman and I and some others formed the first sobriety court in Michigan. That's the using of drug treatment court approach to drunk driving cases. We thought we were the first. We didn't have anybody to follow. It turns out there were two others that had started about the same time somewhere in the United States. New Mexico was one, but we were roughly the third sobriety court in the United States. 2 years later, we expanded that from misdemeanor drunk driving cases to felony drunk driving cases. And since then, we've also created a priority drug court where we are targeting offenders who have drug problems and they are committing habitual felony crimes of the type that are property crimes, the type of person that would really rather not use up prison space. So they have sentencing guidelines that are presumptively prison guidelines, and we are deliberately keeping them out using a drug treatment court approach, which, for those of you who are not familiar, it's primarily using the power of the court to coerce the defendant to stay in treatment and addressing their underlying drug or alcohol problem. And I think we've been very successful in doing that. About 10 years ago, I started the Economic Crimes Unit up in the Delta Township. It's a little different. As a governmental office, it does not receive any general fund monies, never has from the county. Instead, it runs almost as a business. Persons charged with writing bad checks, some youthful offenders for like retail fraud, and various programs like that are given the opportunity to be diverted from formal prosecution. Now, they must pay back the victim, for instance, on a bad check, the entire amount of the bad check plus any bank costs that the merchant has incurred, and they then pay us a fee. So instead of charging the victims to support our office or having the taxpayers support our office, it's the offenders that are supporting our office. And I make no apologies for the amount of our fees. I want to send a lesson and have an impact on that person that they not do it again. And we've been very successful. We've returned over $4 million to Eaton County businesses in that time and have not cost the taxpayers a dime. In fact, we've been so successful, we've taken over handling the bad checks for the Michigan Department of Secretary of State, because their headquarters is in Windsor Township, Eaton County. Venue is appropriate, and so anybody anywhere in Michigan who writes the Secretary of State a bad check here's from my office. We've also taken over handling the bad checks for the Incumbent County Prosecutor's Office. I've also mentioned, one of the things I'm most proud of is in January 2005, we stopped making up misdemeanor files in a paper file folder. May 1st of that same year, we stopped making up felony files, and then we continued around the office until we weren't technically the first prosecutor's office in the United States to do it, but we were the first ones to do it effectively. We go to court with laptops, we organize our files electronically, it saves money, it's just more efficient. Most of the candidates have talked about the need for improved efficiency and use of technology, and I wholeheartedly agree with them, and if they're elected, I'll support their efforts to do it, because we've saved money. We calculate my office alone, it's over $50,000 a year in saved costs. So with that, I'll stop talking, and if you have questions for me, I'd be happy to try to answer.
What do you feel is the single most important duty of a prosecuting attorney, and how will you accomplish that in serving the residents of Eaton County?
Well, there are over 200 Michigan statutes that assign duties to the prosecuting attorney. Most people don't realize that. The one we're most commonly known for is the prosecution of criminal cases. We handle everything from traffic cases, civil infractions, up to murder cases. Tom mentioned the double murder case. That's one of 3 murder cases that I have pending right now. So the most important responsibility is to do justice. And that is my obligation, to try to do justice in each and every case.
How do you plan to ensure that public safety of Eaton County residents?
How do I plan to ensure it? Well, I think probably the best way to describe it is to work closely with the various police agencies. The police agencies have more of a job of public safety protection. Unfortunately, my role is kind of to come in as cleanup. The crime's already occurred. Now, I think that to the extent that we're effective and that there's a mindset of accountability, that does act as a deterrent for some offenses. If people have a sense that they will be caught and they will be punished, I think that there is some level of deterrence with that effectiveness. And so I think that that's what we strive to do. Earlier there was a mention, I brought some of my statistics with me. In the drunk driving field, our conviction rate varies from 98% to 99% every year.